What is up, guys? It is the Gallant here, and today I'm going to be bringing you my predictions for Microsoft and Sony's E3 2015 press conference. I talk about Nintendo a little bit here in the beginning, but I have to admit I'm not that well versed in Nintendo. I'm obviously not as well versed in Microsoft as I am in Sony, but I did my best. I did my research, and I'm going to give you the best ones that I can. I will do more research on Nintendo to try and bring you guys another video with them later on, but for now, I'm just going to say that I think Nintendo is going to bring out a new Pokemon game, whether it be a sequel to the X and Y, a remake of Generation 4, or possibly even a new generation altogether, which would be pretty awesome. And they might even show off some new DLC for Super Smash Bros. Wii U, which is that would be another like really cool thing to see if they just hid that under the rug until now and just brought out like King Hippo from Punch-Out or Hoopa from Pokemon to kind of, you know, promote the new Hoopa movie that's coming out. But as I said, I do not have a Wii U or Xbox One, but that's not because I don't like the consoles. I think they're both great consoles. I would have them if I could. I just don't have the money for them. I would get them in a heartbeat if I had the extra cash to spend on them. But I'm going to talk about Microsoft's a bit first because as I said, I'm not as well versed in Microsoft, but I did do my research, as much research as I possibly could, and I have some pretty cool ideas. So first, they're obviously going to be showing, you know, Halo 5, Halo Guardians. That's a given. They're going to be showing that, probably a 15 to 20 minute demo, well, maybe not that long, maybe it's 10 to 15 minutes of a demo of the game. A new Just Cause, of course. Forza 6 is another big, really big thing that they could show at this E3. I think, let me be clear here, I think everyone's going to have an awesome E3 this year, because Microsoft is in that spot where they've announced a lot of stuff for E3, and we know about a lot what's coming, and it looks really awesome. And Sony's in that spot where they haven't announced a lot, but that doesn't mean that they don't have anything. That might just mean that, you know, they are gonna surprise us, which is gonna be, you know, awesome too. And I really hope that's what happens. I'm not oblivious. I mean, it could be that they will focus on a lot of stuff that's just indies and you know, media and stuff like that, and have a bunch of remasters or something like that. But I really do think that they're gonna come out with a bunch of new IPs and stuff like that. Let me get back to Microsoft. I know that they're going to have Black Ops 3 because they always have Call of Duty at there, and that's fine. You know, Call of Duty is their thing. It's their trademark thing that they always open with in E3, and everyone expects them to, and that's fine. They might even have VR and possibly some more media stuff, but I don't expect more than, you know, 5 to 10 minutes of media, maybe 15. VR, they probably won't. They'll probably announce it, talk about it for 5 minutes, and then move on to the next thing and have a booth afterwards where people can go check it out themselves. I think if they were smart, like I don't think they've backed away from the sports thing, which is a good thing, because, you know, they announced that in the beginning with the reveal, and I think it wasn't that they announced that, it's how they announced it that was the problem. And a lot of people were really hyped for the sports concept of like the NHL and NFL app for the Xbox One. So I believe if they throw a little bit of money at EA's way and get a kind of early release on either FIFA 16 or Madden 16, that would be really, really huge for them, because I know a lot of people who are sports games fans that actually have an Xbox, and, you know, I know people who have said that they were going to buy an Xbox One for those sports features. So if they threw EA a couple bucks to let them show off one of those games at their conference, and of course EA is still going to show them off mainly at the EA conference, I'm not doubting that, but Microsoft could, you know, throw a couple bucks and say, hey, we have some really big supporters of sports. I think it could do us both a lot of good for us to show those games at our conference. Next, I believe, will be Rise of the Tomb Raider, of course, because they have secured that as a timed exclusive for the Xbox One, so I assume we're going to see a little bit more gameplay of that, probably a 10 to 15 minutes, possibly first 15 minutes of the game at their conference. I also wouldn't be surprised if they made it so that Guitar Hero Live was at their conference as well, because the music that has Guitar Hero and Rock Band, they have very specific target audiences, but those target audiences absolutely adore those games. They would get so much credit for having a Guitar Hero or Rock Band game set up on that stage, played out, and actually playing some, hard rock or metal, because when Guitar Hero Live was announced, they played Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, which is, it's not that bad, but I think fans of the Guitar Hero franchise would probably like it if they put in some more, hardcore stuff into that reveal, which I think they could possibly do at this conference. Another really big thing that they could announce at their conference is a new Mass Effect 4. That would be huge for them. A lot of people are looking forward to Mass Effect 4 because they loved Mass Effect 3. And it was a really, really, really huge hit. I believe it actually got Game of the Year when it was released, so that could definitely be a thing. They are probably going to announce a Gears of War remastered. I don't know if it'll just be the first game or all 3 games. I would like it to be all 3 games. I mean, I would have to start really saving my pennies for that, because I absolutely love Gears of War. Gears of War is probably my favorite Microsoft franchise to date, besides Judgment. Judgment never happened. We never speak about Judgment ever. But Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, probably 3 of my favorite games for the Xbox 360 ever. Gears 4 might get a little teaser at the end, a cinematic trailer, but I don't think Gears 4 is going to be coming out this year at all. I think it's probably going to be 2016, late 2016 at that. Gears Remastered might be coming out this year. That'll hold people off until Gears 4, hopefully. And I believe the last thing that I have set up here on my list of Microsoft reveals is a possible teaser trailer at the very end, and this would really do it for them, for Left 4 Dead 3. Imagine that on the screen, pop up Left 4 Dead 3 after they show the teaser, and then on right below it, only on Xbox One. How hyped would that get people? And how many people would go out and buy an Xbox One solely for Left 4 Dead 3? Let's face it, Left 4 Dead is one of the most amazing it's one of the most amazing gaming franchises, period, out there. So I believe that could be a huge, huge thing if they actually, get that out there and say, hey, look guys, that beloved franchise that hasn't announced a new game in, I don't know, 6 years or something like that? Here's another one. Oh, and it's only on Xbox. That would be amazing for them. I know I would probably, between that and the Gears of War Remastered, that would be enough for me. That would be enough for me to go out and say, hey, this is going to validate my purchase now. Now I'm going to move on to Sony, actually, because I have very high hopes for Sony in this. I have very high hopes for everyone, like I said in the beginning. But I have... doing this list for Sony was a lot of fun just because they don't have a lot announced, and that means I can put a bunch of speculation on there. And I don't think anything on here is too far-fetched. The first thing I really hope they announce an Outlast 2 on that stage, because think about it, the first one was a huge, I think it was I dare say that it was the best game that you could get when the PS4, during Christmas time, when the PS4 was, out during Christmas. I can't say out during launch because I keep forgetting that I got it on Christmas and not launch, but when I got mine on Christmas, one of the first things I downloaded was Outlast. and it was the most terrifying and amazing horror experience I've ever had in a game. Like, ever. And so I think because it was like a PlayStation exclusive for that time, that Red Barrel could announce something on the Sony stage. Outlast 2, just a little teaser, because, you know, they only announced an Outlast 2 about 6 months ago, I think. But they could also announce a Knack 2, because Knack actually sold it sold decently. It sold very, very decently. Of course, it was a launch title, so there was minimum things that people could get for the PS4, but I personally enjoyed Knack. I thought it had a very good mix of, like, the way you dodged enemies was kind of a God of War 3 feel in a way, kind of, but dimmed down, you know. And it was mixed in with the Lego Star Wars or Lego Lord of the Rings feel that you got when you played the Lego games. And I thought that was really, it was just a really fun game, you know. Resogun 2 is another possibility. That is, of course, another PlayStation exclusive. It's another PlayStation Store game. So it's nothing really big, but a lot of people love the first Resogun, and I can see why, because again, I downloaded that game the first chance I got when I first went on my PS4, and I had a blast with it. No pun intended. I had a blast with it, and it was just it was a really fun side-scrolling shooter. And I think they could make some decent amount of hype if they announce a second one, and say, even better, if they announce a second one and do what they did with Entwined last time, because Entwined was amazing. I bought Entwined, and it was one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Beautiful music, beautiful art, everything. But I believe they could do with that, with Resogun 2, what they did with that is, they say, hey, Resogun 2, here's the trailer for it, here's the gameplay trailer. They show the gameplay trailer, and afterwards they're like, by the way, go download it now, because it's available. That would be really awesome for them. I think they're going to probably talk about 5 minutes on Project Morpheus, and then have kind of a side booth where people can go try it out. I can't see them spending a whole lot of time on virtual reality on this conference, because virtual reality, it's not a thing to the general public yet. It's not it hasn't been very much introduced to a lot of people, so they need to kind of ease their way into it. Something else that I know is going to be out there, that everyone knows is going to be there, is Uncharted 4, of course. They're going to have a new gameplay trailer of that, because, as we all know, it got pushed back to 2016, which is fine with me. I'd rather have a completed game with as least amount of bugs as possible than have a rushed game that got put out for sales. Until Dawn is something else that I think we're going to see. It was announced last year at E3, and I think the game has real promise to it. I believe if done right, and I'm not sure it is yet, because I've only seen one gameplay trailer of it, and it looks a little bit iffy. It's, the writing is kind of like a horror movie, which is kind of a little bit campy, but you can tell it's still going to take itself kind of seriously, because a lot of choices you make in that game will depend on who lives and who dies. It varies from everyone surviving to everyone dying. That's how many choices you can make that impact that game and how it ends. And I believe that if done right, Until Dawn could be the PS4's Heavy Rain. Speaking of Heavy Rain, they could put out a Heavy Rain remastered. Think about it. It was one of the PS3's, I don't know how well it sold, but it was one of the most renowned games for the PS3. Everyone was talking about it. Absolutely everyone. It was a stellar game. And Quantic Dream, they could reveal that as that on the stage at Sony's E3, and afterwards they could show a teaser trailer of a new IP, because we haven't heard anything from them since Beyond Two Souls, which I really hope Heavy Rain gets the remaster and Beyond Two Souls doesn't, because I think everyone agrees Heavy Rain was pretty much better in that regard. I've only played a little bit of Beyond Two Souls, and I have only played the demo of Heavy Rain, so it's all in fairness for me. But I will say that Heavy Rain was a more renowned game, and I believe that Quantic Dream is going to announce a new IP. Speaking of new IPs, Guerrilla is also probably going to announce a new IP. Maybe a Killzone 4 as well, a teaser trailer of Killzone 4, but I'm really hoping for that new IP because I think they could do wonders with the PS4. After all, they did make Killzone Shadowfall look very pretty when it came out. So I'm really hoping that they, keep working on that new IP and get us an even more beautiful game now that they've had time to work with the PS4. I think we're going to see Street Fighter V. That's a very good possibility because, they grabbed that as an exclusive. They're holding on to that tight for all the fighters out there, for all the fighting game fans out there. I personally enjoy Mortal Kombat a lot more than Street Fighter. I won't be picking up Street Fighter. But for all those people that do enjoy it, no matter how many people say that was a jerk move of them, why did they do that? They shouldn't do that. Well, for one, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, it's a timed exclusive. Although it's not as bad because it's just timed. So, it's obviously not as bad as having just a plain exclusive. And that's the way consoles work. You gotta have those exclusives to be able to draw people in. If you don't have the exclusives, then there's no point in them buying your console in the first place because they can just go buy a PC. Because PCs they have the better graphics, they have the better resolution, they have the better memory, they're easier to well, I can't say they're easier to manage because, you're constantly upgrading them, but you get my point. Consoles need exclusives. That's my point. And finally, we can get I'm sorry, not finally. I misread my list. We could get Gears of War 3 Remastered. We are getting Gears of War 3 Remastered. What am I saying? Not Gears of War 3. Wow, God of War 3. This is the problem. This is the problem with writing down two GOWs on the same list, okay? This is first world problems here. First world gamer problems. God of War 3 Remastered is going to get some screen time, as well as possibly a God of War 4. And I think most people are counting on them to close out with God of War 4. But I have a very interesting... Oh, by the way, Microsoft, back to Microsoft for just a tiny little second, Scalebound. Scalebound, I'm really hoping they show Scalebound. Anyway, back to Sony. I think that Sony, if they have this in the works, if they truly do have this in the works and it's coming out, I think that they could close the show with The Last Guardian. It's either going to be they close the show with The Last Guardian, or they close the show with Gears of War, God of War. Stop! I need to write down the actual words and not just GOW, because GOW mixes up with Gears of War and God of War and Gears of War and God of War and God of War and Gears of War. God! Yeah, so God of War 4 or Last Guardian is going to end the conference for them, probably. Oh, something else I forgot to mention for Sony is they might show off the next preview of the next season of Powers, because Powers, I went and watched it, and it's a pretty, it's a pretty good show for what it is. It's a streaming show, so it's more than what I expected. It's not gonna win any, Academy Awards, but it's a very solid show in my opinion, and I suggest that you go check it out. So those are my predictions for E3 2015. This is kind of a long video. I apologize, guys. But those are my predictions for E3 2015, mainly for Microsoft and Sony. I will look more into Nintendo, as I said in the beginning. So leave your own thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you want to see more by me, hit that subscribe button, because I will be bringing you videos as much as I can. And I'm sure I'll be bringing you a lot of videos, considering that E3 is coming up in June. So that's got me really hyped, as you can tell by this video. But even more so than that, guys, be sure to stay gallant.